Hi guys, I'm Model Muppet. How you doing? Today we're having a look at Far Cry 4. I for one, pretty hyped about this game. Can't wait for it. Now, Far Cry has a long history. There's been a lot more than 4 versions. But it's built up a legion of fans both for multiplayer and single player. Now, when it comes to single player, I think most people are in agreement that we're kind of expecting something epic. Far Cry 3 was a huge step from Far Cry 2 in a lot of people's eyes. I actually did really enjoy Far Cry 2, but I think I'm kind of in the minority there. But here's something else that I like. I like to have coffee in one hand and whiskey in the other. Yeah, I'm screwed. So we all like different things, but sometimes there is a consensus. And the consensus of the multiplayer community for Far Cry 3 was, you screwed up, guys. Right, okay, let's move on. It's a beautiful sunny day. Summer is here. Everybody's hyped with all the presentations from E3. So let's have a look and see how can Far Cry 4 improve on the, let's face it, failure of Far Cry 3 multiplayer. Now, I'm going to follow a list of one of my YouTube and Far Cry 3 fellow fans, Lily Stoll. I don't know if I pronounced that right. He's foreign, what can I say? But anyway, I'll put a link to his channel and his video in the description. He goes through his top 10 improvements that I'd like to see, which everybody likes lists of 10, don't they? So let's stick with that format. Now, the first one that he has, and I'm going to stick with his order pretty much. First one he has is for the developers to actually interact with and listen to the community. And I can't stress this enough. Ubisoft, I mean, you're a great company, seriously. A lot of the things you do are awesome. But sometimes you just fall short of greatness. Now, in the Far Cry 3 mapping community, you have a community out there that loves you, that loves your work, that loves the opportunity that we have to make our own creations. And we're ever so thankful for that. But there was a few things last time round that kind of spoiled the whole thing. So engage with the community, you know. Thanks to Mr. Shade and all Vexter, the other people who moderate the forums. Overall, you do a great job. Sometimes I kind of disagree with your decisions, but that's life. But overall, yeah, you do a great job. But there's got to be more engagement with the community than that. When your fans put forward ideas, they're not doing it in the hope that it will ruin your game. They're doing it in the hope that it will improve it. And when a consensus is reached, you've got to listen, guys. You've got to listen. Number 9, test and perfect. Let's have a beta. Now, I can't actually remember if there was a beta for Far Cry 3. Part of me thinks that there was, and part of me thinks that there wasn't. And right now I'm not in a position to go and research, because that means going upstairs onto another computer and going Googling. But anyway, yeah, you need to have a beta. You need to get things tight. Things weren't tight on the launch of Far Cry 3, and that launch period is so important, guys. It is so important. If it fails then, it's going to be really hard to kind of claw back any lost ground. That happened with Far Cry 3. Don't let it happen with Far Cry 4. Get it perfect. Number 8, we have follow-up after launch. Okay, so after launch, we want to see some DLC. We want some new content. We want additions to the editor. We want some fine-tuning and tweaks to the editor. Not just like one patch a week later or 4 weeks later or something. You know, fix. By the time Far Cry 3, I think it was probably about 2 or 3 months. I can't remember. 2 or 3 months into post-launch time. And by that time, it was still impossible to communicate with my friends because the bugs hadn't been addressed. Now, that's bad, man. That's bad. Innovate. Now, yes, it's easy to say innovate, but what kind of innovations can there be? Now, like I said, there's a huge community of Far Cry fans out there who will help you with this. And they've already mentioned some ideas on the forums, opening and closing doors, mechanisms that might lock a door and have to be opened somewhere else. Things that change within the game world, bridges that collapse. Now, we can do that as mappers. If you just give us the tools to trigger these things off, we can do it. Make the option to allow the mappers to fully explore the options. Now, this happened in Far Cry 2 and it happened in Far Cry 3, where people were doing these crazy maps that were set in outer space and all this kind of stuff. So allow us to twiddle and fiddle around with the parameters of the game. Allow us to change gravity settings, speed settings that players move, you know, like stuff like that. People will be creative, and you will be amazed when you allow the mapping community to fully explore their creativity. I for one, I know that I would be astounded. I was a huge a huge fan of the creativity that Little Big Planet allowed the players, and the more tools that they gave us, the more astounding was the results of it. Number 6, we've got to see a better system for the parties, for the lobbies. Right? It was totally abysmal. It is unbelievable actually that Far Cry 3 was released in the stage that it was as far as the multiplayer goes. We have to be able to make a lobby and where players can actually stay in a game after that round is finished, you know, because generally speaking people might want to stay together, want to party up, want to buddy up, want to make friends with people, want to socialize, and you have to allow us to be able to do that. We have to be allowed to make a list of maps that we want to play, and players within the lobby can vote on those maps. It's really quite basic. You had this in Far Cry 2. Why it wasn't in Far Cry 3, we don't know. But come on, Far Cry 4, let's get that there. Make the lobbies work. Make it easy to get into a lobby. Make it easy for people to team up, socialize, become friends. Number 5, we want better game modes. Now, again, if you open the tools up to the modding and map making community, we'll do that work for you. But give us some tools, you know, so that we can create mission objectives. So rather than the game just be about who gets the most kills, let us make an objective or even a series of objectives. It will give the game so much depth. And it's not going to be that hard to do programming wise. I mean, I'm not a programmer, so okay, maybe I don't have the right to say that, but I think that I have a reasonable enough understanding of concepts in programming to know this, that putting those parameters in and allowing us to change them, that it's not going to be that hard. The will is there. It can be done. We want to see stuff like single player maps made so that the creators can get their hands on a tool and make escape maps. People used to love making and playing escape maps. Give them a counter, you know, a countdown, see how quickly they can get out of a place. Number 4, we have custom characters, characterization, and I love this concept. I really do. Any game that allows me to make my on-screen representation of myself unique to me, it's a massive selling point. It keeps me engaged and immersed in that game for a long time. As players, we often want to make our own stories, and that will kind of allow us to do that. And especially if you then link that into allowing creators to make their own single player maps. You know, we could have like a huge adventure game written purely by the community. And how much will that extend the life of the game? It would be massive. And again, we're willing to do the work, but give us this ability to make my character be my character. Whether I want to make it look geeky, nerdy, or badass, or whatever, that's up to me, right? Allow us to do that, please. Now, number 3, we've got player progression and leveling up. I guess there's some different sort of thoughts and different objectives on this. And this is one where perhaps I sort of come to it from a different perspective than my friend Lily Stoll, who he likes to see that he's getting somewhere. And there's some of my PlayStation buddies. By the way, Blind Jim, if you're watching this, hi, haven't seen you for ages, mate. My bad. But yeah, I know a lot of people who like to be able to measure their performance. They like to feel that they're escalating a ladder, that there are significant steps along their journey of their game. Now, personally, I'm not like that, but I can see the attraction for people who do like that. So, is there a way perhaps that we can kind of marry both these two different sides up and still have an enjoyable experience for no matter what kind of mindset we're coming from? And I think we can. Now, one of the things that Far Cry 2 allowed us to do, when we did a public lobby, and you know, we could invite our friends into it, and the player progress, I guess, was measured in diamonds. The more diamonds you had earned, the more choices you had for weapons, and it allowed the lobby creator to sort of maximize that for everyone. So even though somebody had made little progress in multiplayer, all of a sudden they could have full access to that. Now, I think that was a great solution, because we had a lot of friends who like to play Far Cry sometimes, but not hugely, and they shouldn't be gimped, whether it's because they like to play other games or they have like real life stuff going on that means that they don't get to play multiplayer as much as they like. Those sort of players shouldn't be gimped by not having the same rewards, if you like, the same sort of progress. Now, I know that is a difficult one to balance, but there is certainly a large part of the community who want to measure their progress, and I guess you should do something for them, but not at the expense of unbalancing gameplay. I think most people would be happy with some kind of compromise there. Now, Lily Stoll's number 2 was to improve the fluidity of movement and the gun controls. And again, personally, I didn't find it a huge problem in Far Cry 2 or 3. I found the lag much more problematic. I like the idea of guns not being easy to wield when you're shooting from the hip and stuff like that. Personally, I like that kind of game mechanic. But an awful lot of my friends who I would ask if they played Far Cry 3 games would say, no, I don't like the movement. It doesn't feel right. Maybe it's something to do with the dead zone of movement, or the fact that once you start moving you seem to rotate quicker, these kind of things. I think that there's enough people out there who found the movement to be clumsy to make that something that has to be addressed. We need a different kind of system, I guess. Now, number 1. I'm going to be interested to see if you guys have a different number 1, or indeed differences of opinion, anyway, so far. But Ubisoft, can we please, pretty please, with a cherry on top, have vehicles? It's no secret that every mapper out there wanted the ability to make maps with vehicles. Now, there can be loads of arguments that it doesn't match the designer's vision, or that it's too problematic programming or stuff. Come on guys, you managed to do it in Far Cry 2, so it's not going to be too problematic. Battlefield 4 has vehicles and they seem to manage it okay. And I'm sure that you guys, you've got a lot of talent there, and I'm sure you can figure out how to get vehicles in there. But don't be so controlling by stopping the designers from doing what they want to give to the public. Okay? If the public are crying out for vehicles, and the map making community is crying out for the ability to give them vehicles, give us vehicles, right? We will balance the maps out, and the maps that don't get balanced out because the vehicles are ruining it somehow, they'll fall by the wayside and people won't play them. But there will be plenty of astounding maps done that people will play. It's too much to get into the whole debate about how vehicles affect gameplay in a game like Far Cry. But loads of people want them. We want them, right? We want them. Right, you listening? We want them. Right, Ubisoft, I love most of your games. I'm a big Assassin's Creed fan. I am really looking forward to Rainbow Six Siege. There's loads of your games that I like. Okay, but so many times you just kind of fall that little bit of greatness. Now, listen to the community, what loves you. Okay, we do love you. Right, listen to us, work with us, and we'll get something. You'll give us something that will change. Will be a new paradigm. It will be a new way of looking at gameplay. Right? I know you can do it. Little Big Planet had over 8 million levels, and some of those were absolutely atrocious. Some of them were just pure genius, created by people like me, by average fans, people who fell in love with the game and invested so much time that they produced things that the game creators did not even think was possible. Give us the same kind of creative freedom. Alright guys, let me know what you think. Right? I'm sure that some of you will have different wish lists. Get them down. Get this video out there as well. Alright, you know how to do it, don't you? You put a like on it, you put a share on it, and you put a comment on it. This is Muppet Out. Take it easy. Ciao! Hi guys, Muddle Muffer here. How you doing?